Watch this video, right? Let me bring it up. Tourism in merry old England, right? This is the video. So he made a video where he goes to the most 100% white and then the most 100% or the lowest percent. I think it was even 0% white areas of England, right? So this is the video.
So I wanted to make a video about British culture and British life, and one of the running themes of those places was ethnic diversity leading to various divides.
And so he wants to show you what these two cultures are like in Britain. This is what the guise is. He doesn't really maybe overtly say that this is better or worse. He lets you make up your own mind by showing you what these two different cultures are like, right? That's the premise.
And where possible, I'll try and list the largest ethnic groups in the areas I'll be visiting.
He's going to show these places and he's going to show the difference in quality, right? So
without further ado, we shall begin with Chapter 1. London, known as Brent. This particular
I already knew this.
Is 0.0% English and 82.8% Indian. As a result, the stores here sell clothes in an Indian fashion. The food and the cheap junk is also Indian, and advertising is also Indian. And the use of foreign language is not just in the stores.
Okay, so look at all this, right? What he's showing, cardboard signs, he's showing, yeah, loads of signs. The quality doesn't look fantastic.
It's also on the temple, posters, and Indian visa services.
He's showing all this, like, he's showing, like, incense out the side of a thing, which he probably doesn't like the way they've done that, right? So
he's burning a pile of it on a
he shows all this, like, kind of low quality, right? Like, this just some sort of plasticky sign. Like, if we're looking at it, what we're analysing realistically is the quality, right? Is a little bit low. Let's be honest, it looks a little cheap, right? You got these kind of extensions out the front.
Culture.
So it's all, like, foreign stuff. It's all different. You know, this is, I think, yeah, some of it's even in Indian and stuff.
I mean, most famously, Whitechapel was known for the murders of Jack the Ripper and the poor that he preyed upon that lived there.
This is it. This is 100% white, okay? So now look where he is. Now look. Oh, look how beautiful it is. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. Traditional British culture. It's beautiful.
Here's the thing.
It is beautiful, right? We all know it's beautiful. The point of the video he makes, effectively, he's gone from this heavily, I guess, sort of Muslim majority place, and he's showing, like, well, it looks like this, and then he's gone to somewhere really beautiful and lovely in Britain. And this is, I think, what's passively communicated in this video, is that the white British place is better. That's kind of what he's trying to say. Look, it looks beautiful. But there is a sort of missing piece of this, and that is wealth. This place is wealthy. And when we go to Chinatown, we can also see people don't complain about Chinatown. No one says, oh, Chinatown, it's like all this Chinese stuff in Britain, that ain't British. It's like, people like Chinatown. And why is that? Well, the answer is probably, well, it's wealthy. Look at these buildings. These buildings are stunning. Some of these buildings are very clearly well kept. They clearly have a middle class market, clearly. And so the buildings are beautiful. They can make more money. It looks better. It looks higher quality. Look at all these people taking pictures. There's tourists there that have travelled there to see this cool place. They clearly like it. This is clearly popular. No one dislikes Chinatown. But when you go to here and you look at it and you go, well, this is a bit shit. And there's no tourists here enjoying it. It's just people of this community. And so here's, I guess, underlying thesis, or at least what some viewers will probably come to the conclusion of, is like, well, Muslim culture in Britain is kind of shit. Chinese culture is, you know, I think he makes a critique of Chinese culture, but I think realistically people aren't bothered about that. You don't hear many people trying to send Chinese people back to their country, right? But finally, when you see the true beautiful British culture, you know, English culture, you're meant to come away with this opinion, this opinion that this is a better place, right? And they will maybe in their brains, like racist people in their brains will go, that means that English culture is superior and Muslim culture is down here or whatever, something like that. But the problem and the missing piece of information in this video that is the most important part is wealth. It's wealth inequality. This place, let's find out the name of it.
The small town of Bibury.
Yeah, look, Bilbury is just 600 residents. So firstly, 600 people live there. This is his comparison. This is why it's such a dishonest comparison. 600 people live in Bibury, and almost all of them £1 million price tag. And so he's showing, his analogy is, look at this very wealthy, classically white British area that, maybe I won't mention the fact that, and maybe he does in the video, but like I don't think he makes some big point about wealth inequality. It's more about cultural differences and immigration. This place, average property is 1 million. right? So you just think how much money they make in council tax, a lot more, and so they can keep the area nice. This place has traditional, beautiful British architecture. Bilberry is owned by the National Trust and they select the residents. Well, there you go. Yeah, but that's his honest comparison, is Bilberry and Brent. So then we go to Brent poverty. Poverty, inequality. There's a population of 338,000. So he's compared a town with 600 people to a place with 338,000. Infant mortality. Jesus. We still measure that? 14.9% are on out of work benefits. So that's probably a lot more than Bilberry. 23.3% are not doing well. So we're comparing a town that has a lot of poverty, seemingly, or at least a fair bit of poverty, 5.7% unemployed, to a town that has 600 people and property prices are like 1 million. Bilberry poverty. Maybe I'm completely wrong here. That's funny. There's not even a fucking article that talks about Bilberry poverty. So what he dislikes, and this is my main problem with people who are like super anti-immigration and anti-multiculturalism and all that stuff, what they think they dislike is the multiculture and the difference of culture. But what they really dislike is wealth inequality. Why? Because this place is poor. So that's why immigrant families who come to this country for a better life tend to move here. Why? Because it's cheaper. Probably also there's culture there, so they can probably find it easier to get work, etc. And the buildings are cheap and ugly. So like, look, this is the quality of building as opposed to the beautiful one in Bilberry. These are cheap, shitty buildings. And so he doesn't like that. What he doesn't like is the poverty. He doesn't like how cheap and shit it looks. Why? Because they're poor there. They're poorer. So what people don't complain about is like, and this is the thing I never understand when people talk about multiculturalism or they're trying to say like Islam looks like has bad culture or I don't know, it makes areas look shit, is why do they never sort of account that like Istanbul, you're telling me you don't think Istanbul looks beautiful? Like, Istanbul is a beautiful Muslim majority city, but probably there's a lot more middle class Muslims there. Whereas in his examples he's shown, you're not seeing a middle class here in Brent. You're seeing like a very working class and cheap buildings that don't look very nice and cheap everything because it's all cheap because it's, you know, that's the problem there. You're annoyed about the poverty. You're not annoyed about the fucking immigration because when we see Chinatown, again, Chinatown has more wealth. No one really complains about Chinatown. I've never, literally in my life, never heard anyone complain about Chinatown. Why? Because it's wealthier. It looks better. With more money, you can make things look better. So yeah, it's clearly a problem of wealth inequality, but he will guise it as a problem of immigration. And maybe there are, I'm not one of these people that think you should just open the door and let every literal person into the country. But to pretend that the problem is the culture that they're bringing in, and it's not the fact that they are very unequal and they're in poorer communities, that's where I get a little bit annoyed with people like this Britannica guy, because it just seems dishonest to me. Or not maybe dishonest, but just maybe missing a big piece of the puzzle, is talking about culture and not talking about economics. Do you like multiculturalism in Britain? Yes, of course. What I don't like is wealth inequality. Wealth inequality is the problem, but we're being told it's multiculturalism. It's not. It's wealth inequality. People don't act so fucking insane if they're not in survival mode. If you bring a ton of middle class people into a country, you're probably not going to complain about. Why? Because they're going to live more within the law and they're going to be more part of society. They're going to play. But if you create this big, deep divide wealth-wise, you're going to create this split society. I think it's all to do with wealth. Maybe there's some problem with integration, and maybe you need to do some efforts. But I think it mainly comes from economy. Multiculturalism has led to some of the most interesting things. Like, our best architecture is not necessarily in like Baroque architecture. Right? If people say they love Britain, they love traditional British shit, but they don't like multiculturalism, it's very interesting that their favourite architecture, which is Baroque most likely, came from Italy. You bring a culture into our culture and then you take the cool bits and you make cool shit. When you have lots of money to do it, you can do it in a high quality way that looks amazing. Why do they choose to go to these places? Because they can afford to, because it's the cheaper area, and they have a community there of other people similar to them. Whereas if they had lots more money, do you think they would choose? Do you think a millionaire, like say a Muslim who's a millionaire and he moves to England, do you think he moves to Brent? Do you think or Bury Park in Luton? Do you think he does that? Or do you think he buys a really nice place in a really nice area? People, they go to where they can afford to live, and if there's a community of people similar to you, you're going to move there. And if we worked on the inequality thing in this country, we would see much higher quality things and probably more social interaction between these things, I think.